I know you guys want cheap. Here it is. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. Today I have the Grotesque25. It is a bind and fly 2.5-inch Cinewhoop with analog FPV on here. It can run a 4S 850 milliamp battery. You also might have noticed our new Drone Camps official logo for 2023. Hey, I changed it up, and my concept, my idea behind this logo is that, well, one of the things we do at Drone Camps is we kind of help people put together the parts for the past almost 10 years now on the channel, and this logo represents that, all the different colors kind of coming together to create this one quadcopter. So that was kind of a conceptual logo for me, and it represents a lot for me. So I really like this logo. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoy the new logo, putting all the pieces together and making it work for everybody. That's what it's all about. But today we're checking out a $125 Cinewhoop. Now this is about as cheap as it gets out there in the Banggood bind and fly market. It has analog, it has an F4 flight controller in here. I put some Crossfire on mine. It has 1404 motors and 30 amp ESCs. It has a little GoPro mount up front for a decased or a full-size GoPro. You can fly a full-size GoPro on this one, but I would recommend flying something like a decased GoPro or the Insta360 Go 2, because on a hard crash, you're gonna break this TPU mount, which I did. But in this review, I'm gonna show you some durability tests. Bot Grinder crashed his in a pool of shit, and I don't know if it survived or not. I didn't see his video, but I did see the thumbnail, which is kind of hilarious. I'm expecting Bot Grinder to do stuff like that. But on this review, we crashed it all over the place. It's windy as hell outside today, and I was just kind of sending it first without the GoPro to see how it would do, see if it would power loop the trellis where the grapes are. It did that. It will power loop, it'll freestyle, similar to the Geprc 2025, the Cinelog20. Is it the same quality? Hell no. Does it have a great camera? Hell no. Does the camera suck? Yes, it does. It does run 400 milliwatt on the VTX though. If you're running analog goggles, you'll be fine with 400 milliwatt. Put a little Crossfire on there and you'll be able to send it quite a ways. It also has an antenna on the back. The TPU mount kind of kept moving side to side on me. So that's another thing here. This just kind of moves, flops around back and forth. That's another thing. 125 bucks, you're gonna, you get what you pay for, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and strap up a 4S 850 milliamp, and I'm super happy because Tattoo just sent me some brand new bats, and these are R-line bats. You can check these out and link down below as well as the Grotesque25. Cheap as it gets in the Cinewhoop world. You know, it's hella cheap. It is what it is, but cheap fun is always more fun in my opinion. Let's go ahead and fly in the backyard, give it a durability test, and we'll come back to the bench. I'll show you some analog footage and some GoPro footage, and what you can do with the cheapest Cinewhoop out there. Here we go. Okay, the good thing is I crashed mine into the concrete, the soccer goal, the back of the fence, and into the ground, and it's still flying. It's cheap, but it's pretty tough as long as you don't crash in shit. What else can I hit today? Okay, so that was my last crash for the GoPro mount. It's broken now. The TPU is kind of severed right where the frame connects. But the good news about this is that as long as you don't crash it in shit, it should be okay. Bot grinder, unfortunately, it had the same one. It looks like he crashes in a pile of shit. However, or a pool of shit. But this one, so far, it crashed into the concrete over here. It bounced. My GoPro took a hit. It crashed into the fence back there. I also ended up snagging it in my kid's soccer goal. The strings went around the motor. I didn't burn up ESC. What else did I hit? I crashed into the ground. And overall, it's cheap, but it does seem durable. So that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and go back to the bench real quick, and we'll take a little closer look at what this cheap ass quad has on it. For guys who want a cheap Cinewhoop. Here we go. Okay guys, there it is on the bench. This is the TCMMRC Grotesque25. It's a 2.5-inch Cinewhoop that on a budget can still carry a GoPro. It can run a 4S 850, which most of you guys have. It has analog FPV on here, nothing big or crazy, no GPS, no DJI, nothing super expensive. This is just old school analog FPV Cinewhoop. I think it's cool that it can carry a GoPro and it still feels like it could power loop with it on there, which is kind of crazy for a 2.5-inch. I believe that the motors on here and the power system is probably the best, most exciting thing about it. It felt really fast without the GoPro on there. And when I fly it in stability mode around the backyard with the GoPro on there, it felt nice and smooth. It almost feels like it slows it down just a little bit. You want to bring this camera way down if you're going to use this for a real estate type of setup. I mean, this could be your backup quad if you're doing real estate with something like a DJI Avata. You have plenty of room here between the GoPro and the battery to be able to get that on there. But I would suggest the best setup for this would be a decased GoPro Bones, something like that, or the one from Geprc. They make a line of decased GoPros, mainly because when I crashed, I came over the top of the house and bam, hit the concrete. This TPU mount right here is now broken on the base of it. There's a crack across the bottom. The GoPro's still on there, it didn't fly off, but it did break because of the weight of the GoPro. So keep that in mind. Back here, again, we have this sort of, I would say janky type of antenna setup. This post is plenty high enough. It's running 400 milliwatt on here, which I really like, but when you do crash, this little TPU setup, the way they have it here, you almost need a piece of TPU under it to hold it up so that it doesn't swing to the side, because once you crash, this comes down, and then your antenna is going to be sitting kind of janky off to the side like that. And I noticed when I landed a couple times that it was sitting like that. It came loose. If you push it back up, it kind of has a tab there that locks into where the carbon plate comes back here. We also have TPU mount for the XT60, or the XT30, which keeps it kind of high up away from the props. I do like that setup. I think that's kind of nice. And then under here, I was able to get a TBS Crossfire antenna just under this carbon plate, which is super nice because I'm able to have TBS Crossfire on T2 and R2 on the port setup. So go inside the ports if you're running TBS Crossfire. And what's weird about this flight controller, it is a F4 flight controller, but on this flight controller, I was looking at it up close, and I cannot seem to find the T1 tab anywhere on this flight controller. There's an R1 and there's no T1. Super strange. I have no idea why that is the case, but there's only for, if you're going to hook up Crossfire, there's only T2 and R2 for that type of setup. You can set that up inside Betaflight and it does work. But it is a nice looking quad for the price, and it does seem that people like it. Again, on the Banggood website, we've got 3 decent reviews. One reviewer said, Pacey 1994, he's a VIP on the Banggood website. He said he had hard times with this one because of the lack of documents. And I will tell you, there is no documents in this box. The only other thing that I got inside the box, I did get a pack of hardware, which is cool, a lot of extra M2 hardware, and I got some extra D props. These are the Cine props. These are Race Star branded props. So these, again, like, this is the cheapest of the cheap out there. They're not Gym Fan or HQ. And I got this little handy connector, which is kind of cool. So it's a converter from the Android micro USB over to USB-C. So if you have a USB-C cable laying around somewhere, that's the only thing you have for your phone. That's cool that they give us that little converter. I can probably use that on my other quads. But I also like the power system. We have to talk about the power system because the motors on here look super nice and they do feel powerful on 4S850 battery. Even with my GoPro, it feels like it wants to power loop. I'm not going to do that with a GoPro, but for flying around and doing freestyle, I think it's going to be just as capable as the Geprc Cinelog20. Not the 35 by any means, but it is pretty powerful for a 2.5-inch Cinewhoop. And right there, it's just a little close-up of those motors. I love this kind of rose gold anodized aluminum bell here with 1404, 2750 kV. And we have 2 bolts mounting on the D-series props here. There's two M2 bolts right there. Inverted motor is going to give us a little bit better flying stability. But aside from this being a crappy, no-name camera, it's just a random, generic FPV analog camera, I have to say it has pretty good side-to-side protection and front plate protection with the TPU insert over top of the camera. If you're a brand new guy, this is going to save you. But I'm gonna be honest about that. I'm gonna say that you're gonna want to upgrade this to something a little better, like a Run Cam or a Foxeer camera. You're just gonna have a way better experience with this quad, and it's actually worth the upgrade to do that. On the right-hand side of this quad is where you're going to see the USB port for Betaflight, but you're also going to notice that it's blocked by a standoff. If you want to, you can put that converter in there just behind that standoff without taking it off, and it converts it over to the USB-C, which is kind of nice that you have the option not to have to take that off. I just removed it super quick and just put my regular Android cable to the flight controller and had it inside Betaflight and setting up with my Crossfire within a couple minutes. But again, that's the characteristic of the 2.5 models. I feel like all the 2.5 models that I've flown recently have been a little bit squirrely and a little bit fast and a little bit harder to control in outdoor environments versus even the larger ones like the 3.5 just seem to have a little more control at low speed. But really, what do you want from a $125 cheap-ass Cinewhoop? I mean, and that's basically what it is. It's cheap. That's what a lot of people can afford. And if you're some guy who wants to get into FPV and you can't afford an expensive Geprc quad, by all means, grab something like this. It seems that Eachine is not really even making quads right now, and TCMMRC, maybe they reinvented themselves, I don't know. But I feel like the community, they fairly like this one, but this is another situation where it is what it is. I mean, $125.99, you're gonna have to probably add your own receiver on here. It doesn't seem that they have any option for a receiver, so it's probably gonna end up costing you another $10 or $12 to put even one of the cheaper clone type receivers on there, or ELRS receivers. So the good news is that you can put S-Bus receivers on there, and you can also add Crossfire to this flight controller. F4 flight controller, it's not an F7. It is fast, and it's also pretty durable, and I would say the tune on here is decent. The tune feels nice. The stock Betaflight tune on here feels good. If I can, I will also add this to our PID archives. We're gonna upload this CLI dump to our Discord. So if you wanna be a subscriber on our Discord, it's like less than fish food per month. I mean, it's super cheap. You can check out the link down below and you can have access to our entire CLI dump library, and you can set your quad up how I set mine up, and also get my PID tunes once you're a subscriber. So check out our Discord, join us in there. It's super fun. We talk FPV 24/7. Guys, I'm Justin Davis. Take care, and I will see you on the next review.